Yeah. So last week, I wasn't here. I was
I know you weren't here, you bastard.
at the Big Adventure Fest in here in Orange County. I was at Costa Mesa Fairgrounds.
Uh-huh.
It was like a Comic-Con by day, and then at night it was like a music and comedy festival.
Right.
And it was a 2-day thing, and my legs were killing me because I was helping out with the Nerdbot Nerf gun shooting range there, and just pretty much just like on my hands and knees picking up darts all day long. So
What's that shooting range look like?
What kind of shooting? What were you shooting?
Oh, we have like our friend, our actual friend Mike, Mellow Mike. He is with Nerdbot. He has this entire arsenal of Nerf guns, and he has like duplicates. So he brings all this out, lays them out like in these tables, and we have like people if they want to come up and shoot the zombie targets that we have.
So you're just like shooting a bunch of zombies?
Yeah, just like mannequins that are just kind of
mannequins.
Yeah, mannequins and the cardboard cutouts.
Yeah,
that's cool.
But it's just grueling, all day, picking up all the darts, bringing them back to the table.
Is that what you're doing last week instead of the show?
Yeah. Laugh it up, guys. I saw Reese Darby. He's a good comedian. I saw Empire of the Sun for free and freaking...
wow.
Reese Darby from Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah, you know Flight of the Conchords? Man.
Dude, he's so hilarious.
Yeah. All right, band meeting. Brett present, Jermaine present. And he goes, good news, guys. Rolling Stone wants to do an interview with... oh, no, sorry. My subscription to Rolling Stone has gone out.
He's like, I said a park in Newark. A Central Park. That's right. All right, Pierce, go ahead and roll it. Hey everybody, welcome to Season 2, Episode 14 of the Speakeasy Gentlemen. If you haven't seen the show before, what we do is drink and talk like we would at a bar, but we're all so far away, so we do it here. My name's Josh. I'm in Washington. My brother down there is in Phoenix, Arizona. My buddy David is in Santa Ana, California. And our special guest here, am I pointing the right way? I am. Mr. Michael Gough, voice actor. So I wanted to talk to you about something, Michael. So David wrote to our group chat saying that he got Michael Gough on, he's talking to you and that you agreed to be on the show. So I was actually talking to a different podcaster and I said who we were going to have on the show. And I even sent a screenshot and turns out it's a guy who died who shares your same name. So I looked at the screenshot and even said the date he died. And she was like, I'm pretty sure he died. And I was like, well, I hope not. I guess we're going to be doing it on Ouija board if he's dead. But yeah, so
I think he died on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, did he really?
Just recently?
No.
On a St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. So
he, just quickly, he's an English actor. He's been in hundreds of films. And when I, eventually joined the Actors Union, SAG-AFTRA, I figured I was going to have to change my name because I already knew about him.
Yeah.
And he's wonderful. He was. But no, because he's English, he was not a member of the American.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like the only Michael Gough.
Nice. You got lucky.
I got lucky. I used to get his fan mail.
No way.
Especially whenever there was a Batman movie because he was Alfred the Butler.
Yeah.
And I eventually had this whole box of fan mail, tracked down who his agents were in London and sent it off. And I still have it here somewhere, a little letter he wrote saying, oh, I'm terribly sorry you've had to put up with all this. You won't have to worry about it much longer, given my age.
Oh.
And that was like 15 years before he eventually passed away. But he was in tons of horror films. He was kind of known for that. But then he was nominated for a Tony on Broadway.
Oh, shit.
He was in several Tim Burton movies.
Did they accidentally give you the Tony too? That would have been good.
Yeah, they sent
you the nomination. You're like, I am.
I did get called to an audition once by mistake, and I showed up, and
that's awkward.
We were expecting someone much older.
Did you? Is that when you learned how to do his voice? You were just like, let's roll with it. Let's just do it.
Yeah, I said, well, just a little old age makeup, and I'm good to go.
Now he was a screen actor. He didn't do any voice acting, right?
Well, he did.
Oh, okay.
He did actually. I think his last, listed credit was as a voice in Corpse Bride.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
wow.
That's right. He was in Corpse Bride.
So later in his life, I think he did do some voice stuff, but he was in tons of old, like Hammer. He did Hammer horror films, and then a whole bunch and some really well-known movies and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
See, I'm really lucky because there's not a Joshua Hauschel. That's not even one. Not even me.
There was a David Raby who's. What's that?
Yeah. No, I was about to say I went to high school with a Joshua.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't.
All right. So, drink of the weeks. The two drinks of the week, I should say, were chosen by Michael. So, we have Bushmills whiskey and Harp Lager. So, I have Bushmills. This is the last of the bottle, by the way, fellas. That's all I got left. And David has Harp Lager. Have you tried it yet, David?
No, I'm about to.
Have you ever?
I don't think I've ever had it actually. So
Michael up there has a special edition clear Bushmills.
I have the.
Oh wow,
the clear one, yeah.
I think somebody brought this to a party that I had once upon a time, and there was still a little bit left in it. So it got finished off over time. But I kept it on.
Clear and weightless.
You do have something to drink though, don't you?
Well, we'll see if I actually do it.
We'll see if you give it a shot. I don't know if I would tell you.
I figured I better, if I'm ever going to do this, it's got to be this time of year.
It's got to be documented.
And we can get your reaction as well. So
this thing has been sitting in my refrigerator for God knows how many years. Just pumpkin ale.
Aged to perfection.
It should be good.
Pumpkins don't go bad, right?
You got a cheers, Josh? What's up?
I don't. Great question.
We usually have a cheers for.
I normally do, yeah. So let's see here. Michael, you have any cheerses? Any toasts that you say with friends? If not, we're just going with cheers.
I'll since the theme had something sort of to do with Ireland, even though what I have isn't really Irish, but I will say sláinte, and I'll let you look it up. It's spelled Slainte.
That's Gaelic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
It's basically
sláinte.
And salud, and
here's. I'll take it with my water.
Well,
sláinte. Erigo Bra.
All right, so on tonight's show, we have some Hollywood news to talk about, reboots, remakes, and sequels. I have a couple questions for Michael. I say a couple. I'll see if I
have a million.
Keep it close to a couple. What's new on Netflix and Hulu? I have a challenge for these two guys down here, by the way, because we're coming up on the new year. We got to get ahead of our resolutions. Let's get this stuff started. Facebook memories, if we have some time. But first, I have a new segment called "Wait a Minute," where we're gonna talk to Michael, and I'm gonna put a minute on the clock, and I'm gonna rapid fire some questions at him, just to kind of get to know him.
Sweet.
See if you're okay in my book, or in my book that's no good.
What kind of a book is this?
Everyone I meet goes in this book. I met Junior going in the book. All right.
I don't know, man. That's little.
Anyway, let's do this. All right, so I'm gonna start the timer right now. It's just quick, rapid fire. Ready? What were you like in high school?
What was I like? I had a very small little clique, and I was neither, I wasn't a jock, even though I was an athlete. And I wasn't like a nerd, but I was something amorphous. And me and my little, very small, maybe 3 other group of somewhat close friends, we almost had a language unto ourselves. We could, we had code words that were meaningless to everybody else. But we knew what we were talking about. It's funny because I was both. I was in the choir and I was an athlete, and I was a little bit of a troublemaker, but not too bad. And
a little bit of everything.
Yeah, just dabbled in everything.
I think so, which is why I'm so well-rounded today.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
I actually went to college originally on a very, very tiny little athletic scholarship. That was one reason.
Nice.
You would never know by looking at me what.
All right, so that was our minute.
We'll pick that up later.
Got through one question. No, I actually have some quick ones. Definitely quick ones. So pineapples on pizza, yay or nay?
It used to be yay. I've changed to nay.
Oh, okay, good.
Have ordered pineapple on pizza in my life.
Now,
but you've had a change of heart.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a fight?
Yes.
Yes.
Sounds like he wasn't proud of that.
I'll tell you, so this is when I was a shot putter and discus thrower.
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
In college. And I weighed about 230 pounds, which is about 60 pounds more than I weigh now. And I haven't really, instigated or gotten in too many fights, but there was a big fight going on at one point there were at least 6 people involved in 2 different sides. And I think I had a few. And I took it upon myself to jump into the middle of it, kind of like the Tasmanian devil, and just break the whole thing up. No, are you gonna fuck with me? And I did sort of scare them all into backing off, and I kind of broke up this big melee.
It's like they couldn't match your craziness. They're like, oh, everyone just stop.
And I was, I had the courage of being stupid and having had a few. Other than that, yeah, I mean, I haven't been in any really serious knockdown dragouts. I've been, I got cold cocked once.
Ooh.
Some dude
in there.
And his lady were in the street in front of my house, and they were screaming, and he was looking like he was about to do something bad. And I went out there and I said, hey man, would you just cool it? All right. This guy he kind of comes up to my face, and I'm going, look, man, whatever it is, just, take it away and chill. And before he even said anything, and I wasn't really expecting it, he just hauled off, and he just caught right in the temple.
Oh no.
Wow.
And I went down, and she started screaming, and I got up, and I was dizzy, and I said, get the fuck out. But I almost was unconscious for everything. And here, this is fun. I got shot at.
What?
My car, I'll try not to go on too long here. Again, this is when I was in Santa Barbara. That's where I went to college.
Okay.
And this is after I had sort of segued from doing anything athletic and getting into the world of theater, which was a new thing for me. I hadn't done it before college. But at the time, I remember I was doing a play in college where I had to have my head shaved like a buzz cut. It was this thing took place in the military.
Uh-huh.
And I'm driving home one night with my 2 roommates. It was a Friday night, and there's a van that's weaving all over the road, kept almost hitting me, cutting me off. I gave him the finger. And we pulled up next to them at a red light, and I rolled down my window. And I didn't say anything worse than, stay in your own lane, buddy. I didn't swear, but I had given him the finger.
Yeah.
So then we're going down this long, straight, one lane in each direction road. And I hear from behind me a little bit of and didn't really think anything of it. It's sound like backfire. Next thing I know, this van pulls up alongside, going in the wrong direction, right alongside me, and
Dang.
windshield shatters.
Holy shit.
Hold on.
Flying glass.
They hit your windshield?
They shot the windshield. It turns out there were bullet holes in the side, in the back of the car and the side.
Oh.
And it's this Toyota station wagon and a stick shift, and I'm like, oh my! And I floored it with my two, friends. They had gotten hit with some flying glass, but nobody got hit with an actual bullet. And I just was roaring into the little college town, Isla Vista, which is right next to the campus. Yeah. And they were chasing me in this van, and I took a blind corner. I would have hit somebody head on if they had been there, but that's when the van, I lost them, and they went up onto the curb, and we went, back. First we went to they had a little police station in this town. It was like a little foot patrol thing, and there was nobody there.
So we went two cops, wee woo.
Yeah, there's two of them there sometimes, maybe. We went to my apartment, called the cops, and then a couple hours later, we get a call back saying we need you to come, and they had pulled these guys over. There was these guys that were just out kind of shooting for kicks, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow.
They were pretty wasted.
Road ragers.
Yeah. So anyway,
that happens a lot down there. Road rage, man.
You wouldn't think. Yeah, I mean, this was in Santa Barbara, a college town.
Yeah.
Which you wouldn't think so much, but yeah.
Wow.
So that's
all right.
A long answer to your.
No, good.
That was
good.
an amazing story. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. So I got another one for you.
I
got another one for you. What's the worst job you ever had?
Okay.
So probably
that's easy. I worked in a cannery. It was this big, huge industrial thing that was it was like a jacuzzi inside, or a sauna. It was all hot and sweaty all the time. And again, me and some of my friends, we got the same job.
You got shot at again.
No shooting. No shooting.
Oh, I
remember. There were giant, conveyor belts going everywhere, and all these. There are a lot of women who would stand at the conveyor belt, grab the fruit, pick it out, and put it into the cans as they went by. And the very first day I got there, they stationed us at different locations. And I remember the foreman said, okay, he handed me a big squeegee, floor squeegee. And he said, sometimes the ladies, they get motion sickness and they have to turn around, they have to throw up. So, you have to clean that into the drain.
People are just puking around our canned fruits.
Oh man, a friend of mine who was working there too. He was I remember one time he was just kind of out of it, and he was sort of daydreaming or something while he was waiting for his next whatever, and he's drooling. And he started drooling and went into these cans that are going.
Oh no!
I'm not. And these were, I think, they would go to different labels, supermarket chains have their own in-house label for things, for foods or whatever. Yeah. So, I don't think I'm gonna eat anything that came out of it.
Yeah, that's why I don't eat fruit.
Well,
so tell me, when you quit that place, did you do a little Laverne and Shirley montage? Because I would have done that. The conveyor belts and stuff as you're leaving.
Well, it's funny you would mention the conveyor belt, but I worked there for 2 separate times. I think there were 2 separate summers. And the second one, on the very last day, the guy who was in charge of us that summer was one of our friends. And when he became like the foreman, he just was an a-hole.
Oh.
So on the last day, there was one conveyor belt that went way, way, way up into the rafters. I don't know, it was like 100 plus feet. And just before quitting time, we got this hose that was really long and attached to something. So we hooked it onto this conveyor belt so that it got stuck, and it went all the way up there, and it kind of mucked things up just before the, time to go. And we're saying, see you later. And he had to like, what happened? He had to like stay and like deal with this and try to fix it. And that was our one little, prank of trying to get back to him.
That's what he gets for being an a-hole.
Yeah, it's like nice fucking.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're out of here.
Yeah. But it was,
all right.
It was hot. It was noisy. It was like, in a way, it was kind of fun in a way because we were there together, so we could kind of, make fun of it together. But you'd get these little breaks, and you'd go outside and just eat for 15 minutes. And it was hot outside too, and
jeez,
covered with all this like fruit sludge. And yeah, that was fun.
Squeegee and vomit.
Squeegee and vomit into the drains.
The very first thing, okay, you got to clean up puke. Does any of you have a terrible job that stands out?
I don't think as bad as the one you just said.
I don't think I could beat that.
I think our mine and David's very first job that we ever had, we were holding signs for Kmart outside. And that wasn't great. But with the whole time we were talking to each other over the walkie-talkies, like doing voices and singing songs and stuff. So it wasn't really that bad. But I guess that's probably the worst one I've ever had. I haven't really had terrible jobs before.
Yeah, my jobs haven't been that bad. I worked at Popeye's chicken place.
Oh,
sounds horrible.
Cool.
It was good and bad. Not as bad as the factory one.
There's still people puking next to the chicken, though.
No.
All right. So from your old job to your new job. So what about your favorite? What's your favorite voice to do? Out of all the voices you're known for, what's your absolute favorite? Do you have one? I guess is that like asking what your favorite kid is?
Yeah, it is. The only thing that I guess, because it probably just pops into my mind first, because it was the first kind of big job that I ever had, was from Winnie the Pooh. So I have a certain affinity in my heart for that character because it was, it was Disney, and it was, again, it was like the first, like, kind of real, ongoing job. It's like, wow, really?
And it's huge. Everybody knows.
Yeah, and you've done Gopher since 1988, I saw. So to be doing it for that long, and you took it over from someone else. So I kind of have a question about that too. So like to take it over, what like do you go through to like prep yourself? Because you also did like Scarecrow and like from the Wizard of Oz and stuff. So to do like those voices, how much time do you spend listening to the other voice actors before you take it over?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely remember the auditions for Winnie the Pooh. And they hadn't, Winnie the Pooh, the original animated shorts, came along, and that was in the 60s, and one of them won an Oscar. But then there hadn't been anything for like 20 years. So, and the guy who did the voice of Gopher originally was still around, and for whatever...
You just like...
Huh?
Well, they just like you better?
Well, I think they reached out to whoever original voices were still around, but for some reason he just didn't want to do this new cartoon.
Right.
Wow. I knew that he was also his name was Howard Morris, really funny character actor. In the original Nutty Professor with Jerry Lewis, he played the father. But I think, and he was directing TV also at that point, I think. So maybe he just didn't have time or didn't want to do it. But they did get some of the original voices for the cartoon. But I remember going to the audition, and I remember that character from when I was a kid. And I think I probably sat in my room kind of mimicking. I think I used to do that anyway. When I would watch TV or something, I would try to mimic things. And I remember that, that voice, with that.
How do you do that?
It's like a mouth whistle.
Yeah, it's magic. Yeah, I don't know. It's
like,
just.
I don't know. I can't do it.
You know, maybe
Maybe it's because I have a tongue ring.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, maybe that's why.
Take it out.
Doesn't that hurt? I always wondered about that.
Not anymore. Used to.
So it's not a post; it's a ring.
Yeah, it's a post. It just goes straight through.
Yeah,
I forgot that you had a tongue ring. Did you
David-
take it out for a while?
Huh?
Did you take that out for a while? Or you
No,
just always had it?
so I got it. I was 13 years old, and I really wanted to get it done. My mom told me that if I got straight A's, well, Pierce, our mom, said if I got straight A's, I could get my tongue pierced, and I had maybe B's and C's, and I said okay. So I got straight A's, and just like that, I just applied myself. Who would have thought? So I just applied myself at school, got straight A's, and then she had to let me get my tongue pierced. I just haven't taken it out. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it matters to me anymore, but yeah, still got it.
Huh.
But yeah.
Maybe you could do the whistle with if you had.
Oh, yeah. David always gives me crap for not being able to whistle like that.
Yeah, because he has a gap in his tooth.
Fuck you, David.
Like in between it. Like,
David, don't
most
talk about the
most
gap in
people
my
can
teeth
do it.
when your mouth is more overcrowded than the fucking California prison system, you fucker.
You want one of my? I can gladly give you one, but just shove it right in there. But I'm able to do it. I don't have
a tooth gap, and I can't whistle like that.
Seriously?
No, I can't. I just do the regular old whistling.
Yeah. I can whistle 2 notes at the same time.
Wow.
Usually, but if my mouth isn't too dry, which it kind of is at the moment.
Whoa.
What in the world?
Oh,
So you
Just
can do
vibrating at
do
the same
sound
time.
effects too then. That
I was
sounds like
is that
sounds
the
like
wind?
spooky
You hear
wind.
his-
Yeah.
You hear his gunshots earlier? Those are fucking great.
Yeah.
I know.
There you go.
I knew you were a voice actor, but I was like surprised how good
Mike,
your
don't do
like
that.
sound
I'm in
effects
Santa Ana.
and
I'm scared.
David's in Santa Ana. There really are gunshots.
Yeah. You scared me, Mike.
Like I remember I was in Venice one time, and I was standing out on the street talking to a couple people, and I don't know, some guy was just kind of goofing and doing like a goofy like Southern, hillbilly thing. I don't even remember what we were talking about. And he goes, "Well, I tell you what, by cracky," and the person who lived there said, "No, don't say that around here on these streets. Don't say by cracky.
By cracky.
People will be wanting to come up and think
Buy
you sell
cracky.
drugs."
By crap.
By crack. By crack. Quickly finishing the answer, the audition, for the Winnie the Pooh, the Gopher character, and by the stroke of fortune or whatever, I got the call whenever later that they had chosen me, and I was like kind of dumbstruck and like, wow, to be able to work on something and like that for Disney, and so
That's
it was.
awesome.
I was quite honored and excited,
Yeah.
of course.
How does it feel to have a mouse as your boss? Just kidding. Wait, you said you had a couple stories about Disneyland. You got some insider info on us?
Well,
For us?
a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Well, me and my younger cousin, we were the very first 2 people to ever ride Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, wow.
What?
I'll tell you why. And you can look this up. I encourage you to go to Wikipedia. Our grandfather was one of 4 guys who started this small company, and this was up in the Bay Area, called Arrow Development, like bow and arrow.
Mhm.
And they had been engineers and things after World War II, and they worked for like an iron works company together. They decided to form their own little company, and they started out building these little local carnival rides for little kiddie carnivals, little street corner carnivals.
Yeah.
And somehow, when Walt Disney was getting ready to, planning and building Disneyland, he heard about this little company. and there was like a little small scale riverboat that they had built. That I guess the story goes sort of somebody, brought it to Walt's attention, and anyway, he got in touch with them, and the longer story short, he ended up hiring them to build a lot of the original rides at Disneyland.
Damn.
Which they did.
Wow.
They built like the teacups and the carousel and Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and a whole bunch of the original rides. And then they did build, and I'm talking about the actual ride,
Right.
not the animatronics.
Yeah.
But the actual
The coaster.
The coaster part, the ride, whatever it is that you sit in.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the last things that they built and worked on before, the company kind of like got bought out eventually, but was Pirates of the Caribbean. And so me and my cousin were we were the guinea pigs to test it out for the first time. And it was just a shell of itself, basically. But I remember we got to miss school that day, and I remember, they told us, it's going to be called Pirates of the Caribbean. So we were the first ones to get in it and see if it worked. So that's one.
You're the test dummies.
We were the test dummies.
That's awesome.
And actually, my cousin, we're trying to see. I think we're going to try to get together. My cousin, I don't see her that often, but she lives in California, and see if we can go to Disneyland. This will be kind of somewhere in like early February, maybe end of January, and somebody that we know is like trying to contact some Disney PR people and see if there's anything they can, if they think it's like worthy of at least getting a free ticket.
It's going to be different now, man. They took a lot of that, like the wench auction. That's out.
Gone.
No more. Show them your larboard side. All that stuff's gone now.
So my personal favorite one of your voices, have to throw this in here, is your Deckard Cain voice.
Well, that's certainly right up there.
So I've been playing the Diablo games since I was like 8 years old. So when I found out that you were going to be on, my mind just exploded. I dug up my old Diablo 2 battle chest.
You want him to sign? You want to sign him for here?
Can you digitally sign this for me?
Wait, can you just hold that up and hold it still so I can take a screenshot of you? Okay, wait a minute. Hold on.
Should I put my face in it?
No, he wants to see that. He doesn't want to see you.
Just the board game.
Okay, and hold it still. And that's the. Now that, my friend, is what I would call awesome.
That's badass. So where'd you get inspired for that? Because it's kind of Sean Connery-ish.
Well, that was, at the time I was working for a company. I know they don't exist anymore. And it was all like kind of educational software stuff, but it was like, characters.
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the company was called Davidson, I think. And it was like, CD-ROMs and things that would help you.
It was like Jumpstart stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like that. Exactly. I think that was the same company that grew out of that. But they were all, this was like under the umbrella of Blizzard. And after one of these sessions was over, they said to me, hey, there's something else that they're working on, and they're looking for a character maybe, and we thought maybe we could do an audition for you. And they suggested that he might sound like an older Sean Connery.
Oh, okay.
At the time. So that's sort of where that started. It just sort of took off from there. And I had really no idea, even like after Diablo 1, I wasn't even sure that I had even actually done it. Because I know that they had, we're going to record some lines here. We're not sure what they're going to do, what's going to happen with them.
Little did you know you were like an integral part of the series.
Well, I did find out later. And I'm sure you guys, or at least one of you, you know about the Cain rap.
Yeah, I know about that.
That's on YouTube, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Did you perform that?
Yeah. They had come up one time and they said, "Hey, we've got this thing. We don't know what we're gonna do with it, but it'll be kind of funny." And so they had all the backing music tracks that they had already.
Was
produced.
that from Blizzard, or was it these just some people that had it?
No, it was the guy who did all the music for Blizzard.
Oh my
and
god!
this is official.
You know, I thought that was a parody.
Yeah,
the whole time.
I thought it
like
was a parody
I thought
too.
it was fan made.
It was an officially produced thing.
Officially
Wow.
commissioned.
They had some
Camera.
lyrics written, but I will take credit for probably at least half the lyrics. Yeah, so I encourage anybody to check out the game.
Yeah, we'll have a link for that. We'll definitely have a link for that. I didn't know that was you though. I thought it was I thought it was fan made this whole time.
It's real.
Wow. All right. So I have
to take 2 seconds. I just saw that a text came in that I have to quickly answer.
Go for it.
If you don't mind.
No, go ahead. Yeah, we're gonna get started on the topic. Go ahead and answer your
Okay.
text.
Sorry, I don't have the phone in front of me. I'll be
problem.
right back.
All right,
Put up
so
some pictures.
there's a Twitch gamer. I don't know if you've heard of him, Pierce. His name is Rocky No Hands. You've heard of him?
Mhm.
Rocky.
You heard of Rocky No Hands? So 12 years ago now, his name is Rocky Stoutenberg. He was 19 years old, and he caught it says here he caught a nasty fall. You can tell that this isn't Americans who wrote this, and he landed in the wrong way. He dislocated 2 of his thoracic. That sounds right.
Thoracic.
His vertebrae. Anyway, he severed his spinal cord, so it left him paralyzed from the neck down. But he continues to play games.
How?
I will tell you how. There's a device called a quad stick that his brother bought for him, and it's a device that was launched through Kickstarter. By the way, Kickstarter is going to be an ongoing segment for our show because there's a lot of fucking cool shit on there. But he continued to game by this device through Kickstarter. Pierce, go ahead and show the other photo. Okay, never mind. Go ahead and show that one. So that's him. That's him playing it. So you actually play it through a series of sips or puffs. He says that instead of sucks and blows, but sips and puffs through the controllers. Different. There's 3. There's you could see Pierce. Go ahead and show that next one. There's the mouthpieces he has right there. So different mouthpieces react differently, and there's also a joystick that's right there by his chin, so he could move it around. He sips and puffs to do different controls. So he's playing a game here. I think it's PUBG. Not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it is. I know what it's called.
I
was like,
all right. So there's him playing
limits
it.
on the thing and what you
Check
can and
this
can't
out.
do. After a while, I got good at it. Oh shit!
Oh, incoming.
Oh my god! I just headshot him with the M24 driving.
He's over there, in the
best
corner of
game
his
to use
screen.
After you
Fucking.
just practice,
I didn't even
learn your
cut the
limits
end of
on
that
the thing
video.
and what you can
He's
and
like,
can't
look,
do.
no hands.
After a while,
He's
I got
over
good
there
at
in the
it.
corner of the screen
shit.
always, so you could see what he's doing. You can see how he's controlling and shit, so you know that he's not doing something shady.
That's got to be hard too
The real
because
deal.
He's got a green screen, so this device basically just his air he's using to play this game, and he was able to snipe somebody in a game.
Yeah, but there is one thing that's connected to his chin. I think it goes up to his chin, where he does a up down side to side, or it's right under his lips.
Oh, like a joystick.
Yeah, it's kind of like a joystick, and then I don't know all the other buttons. One's to fire, one's to zoom. He fucking nails that shit. But in no time at all, dude, he went from breaking his neck, really, his vertebrae, and not having any control of any of his functions, to being a Twitch streamer and destroying people at that game.
Yeah,
he would absolutely destroy you at that game. He's amazing at it.
I struggle with the mouse and keyboard. This guy is over here playing.
I don't even
his
control
breath.
my breath when I'm playing a game. I'm like, I can't. I wouldn't be able to do that.
So I think
before I move on, I'm gonna just open this pumpkin ale and just.
You're gonna give it a shot? Hey, he's doing it. I think he just got a call from his doctor, and his doctor was like, "Yeah, go ahead." Is that what that text was about? The text was like, "Yeah, go for the pumpkin ale. You're fine."
I'll be on call.
Just in case you need me. It's all right. Speakeasy insurance is pretty high. Oh, by the way, this is a speakeasy, so people don't even know we're drinking. Let me know how that is. We'll wait.
Cheers, Michael.
Oh shit. Well,
there he goes.
I get the pumpkininess.
Yeah.
It's.
I couldn't really see it. What was the brand of that drink?
Buffalo Bill's Brewery.
Buffalo Bills. Okay.
Pumpkin.
Sounds promising.
Yeah.
Isn't that the guy, puts the lotion on his skin?
Yeah.
Right.
Is that Buffalo Bill?
He puts the lotion in the basket.
Is that him?
Yeah.
Wait, is that Buffalo Bob, maybe? I don't know.
Now, if you know who Buffalo Bob was, I don't know. I'll give you a pumpkin ale. You know who Buffalo Bob was on TV?
Nope.
No, I thought it was.
It's way before my time. So,
Oh.
You ever hear of Howdy Doody?
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
I've heard of Howdy. Haven't
Kid
watched
show, the weird puppet. Look up Howdy Doody. Well,
Pierce,
Buffalo Bob-
go ahead and pull that up, Pierce. Howdy doody.
Yeah.
All right, go. You could continue,
I don't know
Michael.
what I'll
Go ahead.
find.
Buffalo Bob is the guy who. There's Buffalo Bob with Howdy Doody.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's
Pierce
I'll
will
let-
go ahead. Pierce will go ahead and show everybody this photo. So Buffalo Bob. So Buffalo Bob is the name of the guy. Howdy Doody is the puppet.
Howdy Doody's the puppet.
Oh,
And it
okay.
was this really popular kids show a long time ago.
Yeah, my dad grew up watching that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it was even before my time, so I didn't really watch it, but I knew about it.
Yeah, my dad's 73, so.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Holy shit, man!
That's like fucking Lou Ferrigno, dude. He's like hard of hearing and like really buff. I'm like, what the fuck, Dad?
Dude, your dad does not fucking look that old, man.
No, he does
Really.
not. And for considering how long he had been smoking for, dude, like just
Well,
like,
I was gonna say you have good genes, but I mean, look at you.
yeah,
Your dad has good genes. You didn't get them.
I got whatever was left.
Won't let me bring up any of the pictures.
All right, anyway.
I tried.
Anyway,
It's,
well, you get
it's
the
a fucking puppet. Everybody, you get that.
It's a puppet.
It's a puppet, and it's a guy who has hair similar to mine.
Huh.
Ah,
Yeah, he does.
Hey. Anyway, so speaking of games, there's a game that I've been trying to play for a long time. A game by the name of Metal Gear Solid, and I'm finally gonna get my wish because PlayStation Classic is finally going to be coming out pretty soon. December 3rd is the release date for PlayStation Classic.
No, I guess
Is it
it's
a remake?
for Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid, I know. That's what I was going to say.
Did you say December 3rd?
December 3rd, yeah. PlayStation Classic has games such as Metal Gear Solid, Cool Borders 2, Final Fantasy
Cool
7,
Borders.
Grand Theft Auto. Let's see here. Rayman,
Tekken.
Resident Evil,
Tekken.
Director's Cut,
You get royalties.
Tekken 3,
Do like this?
all that stuff.
I guess they decided to celebrate my birthday by releasing this stuff.
Is that your birthday, December 3rd?
It is.
Oh,
All
I
right.
wasn't going to say anything, but you brought it up, so. All right.
Nice. All right. I did bring it up. That's right.
So did you get a birthday check for the royalties? I mean, you did do some of the voiceover work.
Yeah, but that was, you don't get me. Nah. Especially for anything that was done, back then. Nah.
Oh man.
Uh,
We'll try to send you something for Speakeasy, gentlemen.
No.
Token of our appreciation.
Sure. Yeah, I did a few different, iterations of Metal Gear. I can't even remember exactly which ones offhand, but
I saw Sons of Liberty and Snake Eater are the two that yeah.
Snake Eater, Guns of the Patriot, the narrator, and the werewolf.
wow. Now there was one of the earlier ones. Oh God, what was the character's name? He had a cool scene where he's like guarding Snake in a jail cell, and he kind of drops his guard and he's just talking to him, and he's just kind of young, innocent, wide-eyed guy, and then he kind of forgets that he's supposed to like hate this guy, and but I forget the name of it.
I
mean,
forget
really-
too. It rings a bell, but I forget too. My mom
like-
used to play that game.
Oh yeah, big time. She got us into gaming, really.
I was a big fan of Escape from New York, so when I got into that game, I was like, does anybody not know what Escape from New York is? I'm like, they just stole the character Snake Plissken. And everyone was like, nope.
Yeah. And the guy who was the voice of Snake, he always has been. And at the time, we had the same agent. I don't even know if he's still with them or not. And I didn't know this about him, but he had become a really successful screenwriter. He wrote the screenplay for for the first X-Men movie or something.
Oh, wow.
No way.
Really big. Yeah, David Hayter, Hayter. I think if you look him up, you can see what else he's written.
I still think you're better than him, man. He's just a hater.
He's just a hater. He's not even on this show, but
I
you
know
are.
everyone's a hater.
He's David Hater.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone's a David Hater.
Everybody on this show, yeah. I'm cool with that. I don't need you people. I got alcohol.
Man, so when you decided to get into voice acting, did you get representation like right away? Is that like the first thing you do? You get your agent?
Well, once I kind of figured out that this was a thing that you could do, I was able to get an agent. I had an on-camera agent because I came here right after college, and actually this particular, and they had nothing to do with voiceover. I'm getting off track a little bit. I'll get back.
Oh, good. It's all good. No, it's fine.
When I was still in college, this agent from LA called the drama department at UC Santa Barbara. They were looking for a specific type, for a specific thing, and the people at the drama department, I guess I was one of the names that they gave to this agent. So I went, met this agent, and they signed me, and they sent me out for this thing that they were looking for, and it was my first on-camera audition in Los Angeles, and it was for the lead in the film Dune.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
The David Lynch.
The 90s one, right?
Yeah. Was it the night? It must have been early, or maybe late.
Early.
80s.
Late 80s, early 90s, yeah. I think.
Yeah, based on the famous sci-fi novel, and I was at the time I was already a huge David Lynch fan because of Eraserhead.
Mm-hmm.
Then The Elephant Man.
I love The Elephant Man.
David talks about that all the fucking time.
I have a shirt of Elephant Man, yeah.
Well, I don't know if you know Eraserhead, but when I was in college, I saw it for the first time, and I got obsessed, and I ended up like writing papers about Eraserhead, comparing it to the plays of Strindberg, and
Dune was 1984, by the way, David.
Okay.
You were close. Not
Yeah.
really.
Well, and so it turns out that they ended up casting Kyle MacLachlan as the lead in Dune, and then he's gone on in Twin Peaks. Kyle MacLachlan.
Oh, that guy.
He's like the lead in Twin Peaks. So, but that was my first taste. But so, yeah, that had nothing to do with voiceovers really. But I had moved to LA and was doing a lot of theater and, auditioning for on-camera stuff here and there, not really getting too much. I had a little stint on a soap opera, a music video.
Was that where you got the inspiration to rap later on in your career?
No.
You're like, there's something in this. I want some people dancing around me.
Yeah. No, I took a class, a voiceover class, just because it seemed like, I'm curious to know what this is. And I thought, I always enjoyed kind of reading out loud. And I had done a couple of radio commercials for some friends of mine. and they had like some local, just in LA radio show that was about, people would call in with questions about computer problems.
Uh-huh.
And then it was like a tech, answer question.
So you're just like, so the thing you need to do is,
yeah. What happened was
did you try restarting the system yet?
Is your thing on? Is your system running?
Hey, have you tried plugging it in?
What happened was I did a couple of just little commercials for them, but they actually had me on the air as a live guest, and this was on April Fool's Day, but not a lot of people caught on. So I was the Scottish guy. I had started this new computer company called Crab Apple, and and it was just so what we've got now, we're revolutionizing the way you interact with your computer. Instead of a mouse, we don't have any need for a mouse anymore. We have what we call a badger. And people would call in and ask at first, and then eventually people kind of caught on. But so I had a couple of these little commercials on a cassette tape. And after I took this voiceover class, the woman who taught the class, and she was really helpful and great.
This mixtape is fire.
Huh?
It was like, this mixtape is fire. I love it.
Well, yeah. No, well, she encouraged me she gave me the name of this agent who had just left one agency to start her own and form her own agency. Mm-hmm. So she said, I think she gave me a phone number to call. She said, tell her that I recommended you. So I called and I talked to the woman. And at first she said, I'm sorry, I don't have time and I'm not taking anybody, unknown out of the blue. The teacher of the class said, I think she'd really like to hear you. I would say, try again, wait a week or two, try again. And I did. And I happened to catch this agent at a moment where she didn't have, anything else to do. And I quickly said, well, so-and-so recommended that I do. And said, if you just have a minute, I have a couple of commercials here that I've done. And she said, okay. So I held my phone up to this like cassette tape player and I played them over the phone. And she said, okay, well, call me back in a couple of weeks. And I did. And eventually she called me in and I read for her and fortunately she decided that she would take me as a client, and I'm still with the same agent.
Oh, wow.
All many years later. So, I mean, it took a little while, but I was able to get an agent, and yeah, it's
by being persistent.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, it's not, I was persistent. It didn't, not over a really long time for that, but yeah, I didn't want to, especially it helped having the recommendation from the teacher, thinking, okay, well, if she thinks I'm good enough, then maybe.
I was like, I got to get in touch with your agent.
Well, I mean,
start doing some stuff.
Because back in the day, I mean, it's really like people rule the world of voice acting. I mean, think about like Mel Blanc and stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it was a much smaller pool of like working talent, I guess you would say. But yeah, there used to be like a handful of people that just pretty much did like all the cartoons.
Yeah, everything. Yeah. I mean, think of like Hank Azaria, Dan Castellaneta, like they do almost all of their
the 6 people do the entire town of the Simpsons.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So on that note, is there a role, like if you could go back in time and like take over any show and do a specific role, what would you choose? Do you have something in mind that you would do?
Wow. Let's see. Trying to think of, maybe was there something that I like came close to, but then it didn't happen. Well, I remember auditioning for SpongeBob.
You did? Oh, Tom Kenny beat you out, huh? I followed Tom Kenny for a long time. I mean, I remember him back on Rocko's Modern Life and stuff when he played Heifer, and I followed him for a long time. But you actually auditioned.
So-
Steven Hillenburg, the guy who created SpongeBob.
Well, I'll tell you what
went
it
to my
was.
high school.
Time it was what was it? Cartoon Network.
Nickelodeon, yeah.
Nickelodeon. Yeah.
They had a whole bunch of like short pilots that they were trying out, and they were like throwing stuff against the wall. And I remember going to the audition, and there were like at least a handful of different things to audition for, and one of them was this thing called SpongeBob SquarePants. And you kind of look at it, and you go, okay, talking sponge, pineapple.
Sounds promising.
Sounds promising.
And sure, I mean, how can I can't knock Tom Kenny, he's awesome.
What would have SpongeBob sounded like?
What did SpongeBob sound like for you?
When I did it, I don't know. It was probably just something kind of similar, and just I don't remember. I don't remember what I did, but he was supposed to be kind of energetic and happy and goofy and optimistic, but I can't remember, because there were also you're auditioning for several other things at the same time.
Yeah, of course.
But sure, if I could go back and jump in the hot tub and turn back time, and that would have been a nice
good pull
thing to have. Which,
yeah,
as it turns out.
Wow. Is there anything like so? You work with Jim Cummings a lot, right? Or you have. So do you ever sit there and do you ever do their voices? You know what I mean? Like, have you ever thrown a poo out there just for kicks and
to do poo, and I had to stand up with, oh bother, I need some honey.
He was doing somebody else when he took over for Pooh.
Yeah.
Original voice of Pooh was Sterling Holloway was the guy's name, and that's how he sounded. He was an actor, and he had that. I can't do it. He had that voice.
Yeah.
And then he eventually took over for Tigger, and that was the original Tigger. And again, some of the original voices were on the Winnie the Pooh cartoon. Piglet, he was the original, and that's exactly what he sounded like in real life. John Fiedler. He's in lots of movies and TV shows, and he sounded like that. That was his normal talking voice.
Wow.
He's in
so he wasn't even doing a voice for Piglet. He was just doing his own thing.
No, it's just him. Yeah. He sounded like
he's in one of my favorite. I'm a Star Trek fan, really only of the original series. I know everything about the original series, not so much, but he's in one of the great episodes of the original series, the voice of Piglet. But yeah, Owl. Actually, he wasn't the original Owl, but he was the longtime Owl. But yeah, Jim Cummings took over for Tigger when Paul Winchell eventually stopped doing it, and he had done Pooh, since the beginning of the cartoon.
Josh does a pretty good Tigger.
So no, it was terrible.
Let's hear it.
So when wait, did you say let's hear it?
He did.
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
I'm putting you on the
I don't even
spot.
remember what I said. I don't even remember what I said. What did I do?
What is he?
Shit. What was my line? What does Tigger say?
He bounces and he laughs. He does his hoo 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 hoo.
I can't do that. I think we did like me and David do a lot of voice acting battles here. Of course we're not going to challenge you to one. Yes, but I was just like I did something stupid like one thing I'd like to bounce on, like something really stupid like that. I don't even remember what the fuck it was.
Okay, yeah.
But anyway, it's crazy thinking that you've been in so many people's houses. That's a weird way of saying that.
You've been like a part of our
and my voice has too.
Yeah. So exactly, so what's that like? Really, what's that like though? I mean, because you're a voice actor, so you could still do things. And I don't mean this as a slight to you in any way, but I watched I Know That Voice. It's a documentary, and it had Tom Hanks' brother in it. And Tom Hanks was commenting on how he does his brother's voice in video games and stuff like that. But he could still go to places like Disneyland and walk around. And so many people know who you are without knowing who you are exactly. I think that's a great thing though, isn't it? Because so many times you hear, celebrities talking about how it's terrible not being able to be a normal person. But there are so many people who know you.
You get the best of both worlds.
But you could walk right by them and they would have no idea.
I mean, I'm even flabbergasted when anybody tells me, mentions something about that something I had done was a part of their life. It's still kind of like unbelievable.
I mean, that's how. Like for me, when we first met, I went upstairs to go get another drink, and I was looking at my phone. IMDb. I was like, saw your name and like saw everything you did. I was like, holy shit, this guy's been a voice, a staple in my childhood. Here I am talking to him for over a half hour, just being a drunk idiot. I just
doing what you do best.
Being your true self, David.
You were doing what you were doing best.
No, Michael, I really appreciate so much. Like words cannot express how much I appreciate you being on the show, because these guys always give me shit all the time and not bringing anything to the table. You just show up being drunk. You're not good at anything. You need to do more. I'm like, well, checkmate, bitches. What's up? Your move.
Well, hey, thanks. I appreciate it, and I'm always flattered and like kind of taken by surprise when somebody says.
I'm still like, I'm just like the whole time, just like in the screen, like.
That's how it was for the first half. I was like, I could see the twinkle in my eye.
There's certain, I meet and bump into actors and work with them, and then some of them, of course, I'm very, I admire a lot, and sometimes I get a little fanboyish, but there are certain musicians that I have I've been lucky enough to meet here and there, and I just completely like.
I mean, you are a musician, right?
He plays the theremin.
Well,
I saw that.
Well, I'm sure you do many more than that, don't you?
My main thing as a musician is keyboards, piano, keyboards, also bagpipes, flute,
nice.
Irish like penny whistle, and theremin.
I think this is the beginning of a band, right? It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I have this little. It's one of these little.
Oh, melodica! I have one of those.
Melodica.
Oh, on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just sitting here.
Those are nice.
Yeah, it's
convenient
cool.
Instruments.
Yeah, so I mean, I was into music, kind of long before I ever got into acting. Really, my mom was a musician and piano player, pipe organ, and then she was a piano teacher for many years. And so
Do you think having an ear for music actually helps with voice acting because you can hear the subtleties?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
especially when you have to do like some kind of a sound alike,
Right.
or you don't want to have to. It's a fine line, because if you're outside of yourself too much, sometimes that's a problem. If you're like listening to yourself too much, but it does help have some kind of a musical ear as far as just like capturing, because different characters have, it's all kind of music in a way, a different.
I mean, there's always kind of like a rhythm to the speech.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Pitch.
Right. Yes.
So, do you prefer to take over voices, or would you rather create your own?
Well, I mean, it's always nice to create your own. I certainly have had some of the most best or maybe long-lastingest gigs I've had have been things where it's a sound alike and you take over, or maybe you don't take over, but you are in addition to, like Shrek.
And you sang for him, right? Is singing and voice acting synonymous? Like, do you have to be a pretty good singer in order to voice act?
Well, I wouldn't know, but certainly it helps. I mean, anything you can do helps, you know.
Yeah. The more you bring to the table, the better, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can do a lot of voice acting without singing, and singing in character. There was, singing to be done on Winnie the Pooh. That was fun. Yeah, and I did some singing Shrek. I think on
Shrek, the idol, right?
Faraway Idol.
Faraway Idol. Yeah, that was you.
I think doing it.
I mean, I totally heard it when you were doing your impression right there, your voice of talking about Crabapple. I was like, that's Shrek right there.
Well, that's it's and Mike Myers is obviously he's like the main and original voice of Shrek, but over time there's been a lot of instances where whatever they're using that character for, either he doesn't want to do it or he's not available or whatever. Maybe he wants too much dough. I don't know.
Yeah.
There've been like commercials and video games, and there was a whole series on DreamWorks TV, which was basically like a talk show hosted by Shrek and Donkey called Swamp Talk. And it was interesting because this was all done with motion capture.
Oh, wow.
So we were wearing, the tight.
Oh, so you were actually doing it. Yeah, you were sitting there doing it.
Yeah. So we're not only doing the voices, but we're like acting out Shrek.
So who was doing Donkey?
This guy named Jason Lewis, who is, he's this white guy who does
great Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. He actually does.
In the morning, I'm making waffles.
I'm making waffles. Not waffles again, Donkey.
That's
wow.
fucking amazing. Jesus. Did you know that? Oh, well, I'm sure you may have known this, but they're actually remaking Shrek, by the way. DreamWorks gave it to Illumination Studios, who's making who's famous for making Despicable Me, all that stuff, Minions and shit. They're remaking Shrek, and I was just wondering. I mean, I really think that they should take some of Chris Farley's tape and slide that in there somewhere, because Chris Farley was supposed to be Shrek. He recorded a lot of Shrek.
Well, I don't even know what he was. He wasn't going to be Scottish.
He's like,
he was just doing his voice.
Not even a little bit.
He was just doing
living a van down by the swamp.
What, Donkey?
Yeah.
You know what, Donkey? It's just like normal Chris Farley talking.
Right.
But they need to slip that in there somewhere. I think it's. I mean, they to pay an homage to him at least.
Yeah. And even and he sort of even was made to look a little bit like Chris Farley.
Yeah.
Originally, and then Mike Myers, and Mike Myers he likes to do stuff that involves Scottish.
That's true.
Dude. His on Cat in the Hat, he did something. He was like, "You're not just wrong, you're stupid, and you're ugly, just like your mother," right? And it sounded exactly like Shrek. I was like, "That's the same fucking person." Oh wait, that's Fat Bastard too. Yeah, same fucking person.
And he had the character on Saturday Night Live where it's like
sitting in the bathtub, right?
Well, he's like running this little gift shop that's all Scottish. If it's not Scottish, it's crap.
Oh. I was thinking of the old skits where he's like sitting in the bathtub. He's like, "Would you like you to look at my drawings? I like to do drawings of people. It's not my dad. He travels a lot, so I sit in the hotel and I do all these drawings."
I don't think that's Scottish.
And like,
Scottish? That sounds English.
He was
to
like,
me.
he was still like,
that's like
down at the top. He's like, "Don't look at my bum, you bum looker."
Oh, don't look at my bum. What are you? What are you? A bum?
What are you doing? Don't look at it.
Well, if you really listen to Shrek, it's sort of like a half Scottish, not really. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
So it's a little, sometimes it's a little tricky to
get to sneeze.
Scottish.
No, I'm just trying to whistle.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting drunk and getting courageous. He's like,
I mean,
there are cheese and rice, you guys. Make me look stupid. David, I think the best voice you do, David, I think is Stewie.
"Oh yeah."
from Family Guy.
I do like doing that one.
Can you do a Stewie, Michael?
Let's hear it. I don't know if I can do Stewie so well.
Hold on, I got it.
All right, go ahead, Dave.
Take your index finger and your thumb and lightly grip the base of your tail. Then glide your index finger and your thumb along the length of the tail to the tip.
Hey, that's good.
Oh, thank you. I kind of hear.
I think the best one that I do, probably Peter.
Peter? I think that's the
Okay.
one you do the most. That's probably why.
Yeah.
It's
For
because
me,
I seriously I slip it into everyday life all the time.
When
I'm like,
Josh and I,
you know what? Why don't you guys get out of my way?
when Josh and I first started hanging out, we started just hang out, drink, smoke, and then we just talk about our favorite TV shows and try to mimic these voices. And eventually he started figuring out how to do Peter, and for the longest time it took me years to finally get Stewie down. And it was only until recently where I actually kind of got it down where it's kind of passable.
Yeah, no, those are both very good.
Thank you. Hearing it from you means a
So
lot.
I'm just gonna go ahead and record that, and that's gonna be a recommendation.
Yeah, right.
From voice actor Michael
Hey,
Gough.
both of you are just really not that bad.
Hey, that's great. Yeah, I never had a more shining recommendation ever. Every girl that I've ever been with has also called me not that bad. So thank you. I appreciate that. So Michael, it's about 8:00.
Yeah,
and,
I know. I based on that text I got a little earlier, I had a little more time, so I do have to run pretty soon, but I can, I can hang out a little bit longer.
If we can
okay.
keep you, let's keep you.
I just want to make sure I'm not pushing you out too much. Let's see here. Let me talk about one more thing before we go. How about that? We'll talk about all the other things next episode.
Sure.
But there's one more thing I want to talk about because it's time sensitive. So let's see here. Where's it at? So reboots, remakes, and sequels. So there's something called Once Upon a Deadpool. Have you guys heard of that?
I have heard about it. I didn't know what it was about. I saw the picture for it, though.
So Deadpool is actually being remade. Deadpool 2, I should say. It's being reshot. They actually reshot it in one day. Yeah.
Now I heard about a female Deadpool character.
So this is just Deadpool 2 being reshot and re-edited to make it PG-13 for kids to be able to watch.
Wait, are you serious?
Yes. So they were actually they were able to shoot it all in a day to change the entire storyline. So this sets up Ryan Reynolds, who plays Deadpool, and he's kidnapping Fred Savage. You know who Fred Savage is?
Mm-hmm.
I do.
From the Wonder Years.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
The mole
Yeah,
guy from Austin Powers.
Yeah. If it's old TV, I know about it.
I guess he goes back in time and kidnaps Fred Savage. So it's a limited time run. It's running through from December 12th through Christmas Eve. It's the only time it's running. So
In
you have a
theaters?
short period of time to watch
That's
it.
smart. That's a cheap production, and
Well, that's
probably will
enough.
make a lot.
As long as the film runs for 2 weeks in theaters, that's enough to give it awards and accolades and everything, right?
Yeah.
So the reason why they're really into it is because Ryan Reynolds has a charity called Fuck Cancer.
Yeah.
Oh,
I got one of those.
And $1 for every ticket goes to the charity. So $1 from the ticket goes to Fuck Cancer. And actually, for the
name.
limited time, they're calling it Fudge Cancer because they're making a PG-13 film for children.
All right, I'm down.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have a quick side note about cleaning things up for different audiences. I forget what this was, but I believe it was a sound alike, and it was for Bruce Willis. So he kind of I don't remember what it was, but so they needed to clean this up and make it more of a PG version for to show on the airplanes or whatever. So there was one point where there was a motherfucker in the movie. He goes, yeah, get out of the way, motherfucker. So they try to come up with things that matched the lip movement as close as they can. And so they came up with maggot farmer.
Maggot farmer. Get out of here, you
maggot
maggot farmer.
I always remembered that. It was so weird, but like, okay.
That is a good farm to have. I mean, some people do have those necrotic wounds that just won't heal, and so maggots eat the dead. Yeah, they eat the dead flesh.
Necrotic wounds. Is that the name of the band?
Necrotic wounds. Just dead flesh. You guys are a bunch of maggots just eating us up.
Yeah.
You know, if I were to do voiceover, I think I'd want to get something like Gangland. You know,
Gangland.
and I think not just because Gangland's got that creepy voice, but I think it's because the writing's so terrible.
I'm not even that familiar with.
You haven't seen Gangland, David? You seen Gangland?
We used to watch Gangland all the time.
Yeah, they're like her neighbors found her next door in a pool of her own blood, killed to death. Like it's always like really stupid fucking writing. They have to add this suspenseful fucking pause in between and stuff.
Like
I think I do that.
Those like shaky camera reenactments. It's always like blurry. You're like,
yeah.
Oh, hey,
everything's blurred all the time.
No, I've never seen it.
If you
I haven't seen
know what
it.
it's on. What's it on? A&E?
No, dude, I don't think it was on A&E.
History. It's on History.
History Channel?
It was on History Channel, I think.
It's on History.
Yeah, I think it was on History Channel.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we have more stuff to talk about next week. We should have a stand-up comedian actually on next week's show.
You're really gonna top? No one's gonna top you.
Oh,
Michael.
nobody. Michael, anytime you want to be back on the show, you just let us know, and we're gonna make more time because we have so much more stuff to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So many more questions for you. But yeah, anytime you'd like to be on the show, we're gonna find a way to just give you all the money. But thanks everybody.
Well, I have to consider it.
Yeah, thanks everybody for staying tuned. Sorry we didn't respond to too much of your chat, but thanks everybody for watching. As always, thanks to the Speakeasy team and you guys, David and Pierce and Michael, of course. Thank you so much for being on. Great show.
We appreciate it so much, man. It really means the world to me for you to be on here.
Hey, my pleasure, man.
By the way, David has a show on this Tuesday.
Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Nevermore Narrative.
What's it going to be about?
This is going to be about aliens.
Aliens.
Oh, nice.
Like,
by the way,
what's the angle?
Just overall in general, like, do they exist? Are they here among us? Have they been here or influencing civilization as a group?
David, I cut something from this week, like from my fucking topics today, that has to do with aliens. So I'm going to talk about it this Tuesday also.
All right, cool. Yeah. Michael,
Nice.
I was going to
if
say,
you want
Michael,
to tune in on the Nevermore Narrative on Tuesday at 7 p.m., you can just tune in and watch and join in on the chat if you'd like. But eventually, I would like to have you on my podcast if you don't mind.
Well, hey, we'll stay in touch and we'll talk about the.
I'd appreciate that so much. Honestly, you are it is just truly an honor to have you. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks. Thank you, gentlemen. And when does this drop? Or
right now. Yep.
Right now.
People are watching it right now.
They've been watching.
So
Cool.
Michael, can you read that right there? Can you see it clear enough on your screen?
Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. That.
Yes.
Follow us on Instagram.
That's not Michael, by the way. That was Mike. That was Michael. I heard him.
Thanks for watching.
Yes.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Cheers. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. The Speakeasy Gentleman.
I love
Find
that.
audio for all episodes on iTunes and Podbean.